A look at what's grabbing headlines in the world's press. Florence is back with us in studio. Hi again. This historic summit, as it's being built, getting a lot of attention. What's happening in Panama, Summit of the Americas?
Summit of the Americas. Now, for the first time, both the leaders of Cuba and the United States will be in attendance. So, as you said, historic is the key word used when describing the summit. That's the word that Le Figaro, the French paper, uses. Obama and Castro are there to make history. The Wall Street Journal as well says that all eyes are really going to be on the two presidents over the next 2 days. You can see the summit is really putting the focus on Cuba ties. So they're trying to build on that historic thaw in relations that began in December. Now, The Independent, in its editorial today, says that hurdles really remain for both of them. The Republicans in the U.S. are opposed to lifting the trade embargo, and in Cuba, there are worries about a betrayal of the revolution. But this editorial is very hopeful. It says lots is to be gained from a rapprochement between the U.S. and Cuba, and not just for those two countries, but for the region in general. So you can see here they're talking about a new era that's dawning for U.S.-Cuba relations.
Warming of relations there. We heralded a whole new heating up of relations between the US and Iran at the start of the month when we had this framework nuclear deal signed. A lot of word battles going on since then, though.
That's right. Now, this is the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He, for the first time, gave his opinion on that framework deal. And you can see here, this is the Wall Street Journal on their front page, actually. They're talking about the fact that he is wary of that nuclear deal. He said there's no guarantee of a final deal on that nuclear program. He said that world powers led by the U.S. can't be trusted to negotiate in faith. But then he also said, I neither agree nor disagree. So analysts say that his comments actually appear to be carefully measured to appease hardliners on the one hand, but not undermine nuclear negotiators on the other. But it's interesting to see what the Iranian press is talking about. I pulled out an article, the editorial actually, from Khan, that's an Iranian paper. It says that the deal could fall through because a Zionist lobby is at work behind the scenes. The paper says that this Zionist force is trying to put obstacles in Obama's way, for instance, putting him in a tight spot with the Congress. The whole idea of this is to make the deal fall through.
Okay, so June 30th is another deadline to watch on that issue. Iran also in the spotlight, of course, because of the situation in Yemen.
That's right. Lots of papers are reporting on how tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia are growing over the conflict in Yemen. Now, yesterday, Iranian leaders really lashed out against Saudi Arabia's air campaign in Yemen, which is aimed at stopping the advance of Houthi rebels, which are backed by Iran. Now, Ayatollah Khamenei, once again, he called the airstrikes a crime and a genocide, and he warned that this war in Yemen is going to fail and ultimately will backfire on Riyadh. And there's an interesting piece in the Washington Post today that points out that this might already be happening. It might already be backfiring. 2 weeks in, the Saudi-led military campaign appears to be turning into a quagmire situation. That's what analysts that are in this article say. They say that the campaign has done little to achieve its goal of stopping the Houthis from advancing, and what it has done is accelerate the country's fragmentation into warring tribes. The fighting has killed hundreds of people, displaced hundreds of people, food and water are lacking, and there's a vacuum that's open for Islamist group. So you can see this headline here. It's interesting. It says that Yemen could become Saudi Arabia's Vietnam.
Yeah, no, definitely a difficult one to watch, even with the various groups. Now, across stateside, let's look at the papers there. A continued focus on this awful, fatal shooting of a black man as he ran away from a white police officer.
That's right. Now, what's key is that that incident was caught on tape. And the man who shot that tape has come out. He's been identified in the news by Faidin Santana. Now, he came forward to speak publicly. He describes what you can't see in the video. He says that the police officer in question, Michael Slager, he says that he actually had control of the situation and that Walter Scott, the black man who was fatally shot, was just trying to get away from that taser. Now, this comes, of course, in the wake of other high-profile incidents where white police officers killed unarmed black men. There's a cartoon that I pulled out in China Daily today where you can see a police officer here firing a bullet, and the bullet is represented by a Ku Klux Klan member. So that, of course, the racial issues involved here, the debate is very, very complex, but it did spark a protest movement called Black Lives Matter.
Okay, Flo, we're going to have to leave it at that for now on that controversial issue.